Most of us think about oil when we're at the pump. We see the digits on the sign, we feel the sting in our wallet, and we move on. But right now, in May 2026, oil isn't just a car problem, it's a everything problem. Since the conflict in the Middle East escalated this year, the global economy has been hit by what the IEA calls the largest supply disruption in history. Before we get started, go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me and turn on the notification for future episodes. Today we're breaking down how $100 a barrel oil travels from the high-tension waters of the Strait of Hormuz to your grocery list, your flight home, and the very stability of global markets. We'll look at the data, the unseen costs, and the likely endgame of the current tension with Iran. Let's talk facts for a second. Why does expensive oil make eggs more expensive? It's the supply chain domino effect. First is the transportation and logistics. Almost every physical good you own was moved by a truck, ship, or plane. Diesel prices have surged globally this year. When it costs a logistics company 40% more to fuel a fleet, they don't eat that cost. It's obvious. They'll pass it to the retailer, who passes it to you. Also, the fertilizer crisis. This is the one people miss. Natural gas and oil are key components in producing nitrogen-based fertilizers. And with the Strait of Hormuz seeing a massive drop in traffic this spring, fertilizer costs have spiked. This is why food prices in import-dependent regions have jumped as much as 70% in some cases. And finally is the petrochemical foundation. Think about your phone, your shoes, and even your medicine. They all use plastics and synthetic materials derived from oil. When crude prices stay high, the input cost for manufacturing rises across the board. Here's the fact check. As of this week, Brent crude is averaging around $100 per barrel. For every $10 increase in the price of oil, global inflation typically rises by about 0.2 to 0.4 percentage points. We are seeing a compounding effect where high energy prices are preventing the interest rate cuts that many economies were hoping for this year. Now let's address the geopolitical core. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's most important energy chokepoint, and about 20% of the world's oil and seaborne gas passes through that narrow strip of water. When the conflict intensified in February and March, that flow was effectively choked off. And let me give you the reality of the disruption. Production losses, for example. What does that mean? We've seen a loss of nearly 7.5 to 9 million barrels per day in exports during the peak of the disruption. To put that in perspective, that is roughly the entire daily consumption of China. And the infrastructure toll. What are the effects of that? The strikes on refineries and LNG facilities weren't just tactical, they were structural. In some areas, engineers estimated it will take 36 months to fully repair the specialized processing plants. And the risk premium. And this is the most important reality. Even when oil is flowing, prices stay high because of uncertainty. Insurance for cargo ships in the Persian Gulf has skyrocketed, adding another invisible tax to every barrel. Shipping companies are now taking the long route around Africa, adding 10 to 14 days to delivery times, further driving up the costs. So with all that being said, everyone is asking about the ultimate outcome of the war with Iran. Looking at the data and the shifting alliances, we can see three distinct phases. Phase 1, the exhaustion phase. As of May 26, we are entering a phase of economic exhaustion. No nation, including Iran, can sustain a total blockade of the strait indefinitely without destroying its own internal economy. The outcome isn't a total victory for any side, but a protracted cold recovery. We will likely see a Swiss cheese blockade, where some ships pass under heavy escort, but the total volume remains low for years. Phase 2, let's call it the pivot of the new Silky Road. This war has accelerated a permanent shift. Iran is leaning deeper into its partnerships with Russia and China to bypass Western sanctions and maritime blocks. You're seeing the birth of a shadow energy market that operates entirely outside of the US dollar. This weakens the petrodollar and changes how global trade is settled. And phase 3, accelerated decarbonization. This is the great irony. High oil prices are the most effective salesman for alternative energy. We are seeing a massive pivot in Europe and Asia to reduce reliance on Middle Eastern hydrocarbons. This war may have shaved 5 years off the global transition to green energy, simply by making oil too expensive and too risky to rely on as a primary resource of power. So here's the bottom line with all of this, and I hate to say it, but the fact is that we aren't going back to cheap energy tomorrow. The ripples of the 2026 Iran conflict will be felt in interest rates, shipping manifests, and grocery aisles for at least the next 18 to 20 months, even more. Remember, oil isn't just fuel, it's the currency of distance. And right now, distance has never been more expensive. And that's the American backdrop. Stay sharp, stay informed, and always look beyond the headlines to find out what's really happening. I'll see you in the next one.